Welcome to Real Cowboys. I'm Lacey J. Dalton. Our series is taking us back to the good old days of cowboys and cowgirls and sharing the ongoing stories of today's new good old days. So saddle up, partners, and let's ride.
We often think about the Old West as gunfights, speeding stagecoaches, crooked outlaws, handsome cowboys, and love-struck women. Women were often portrayed as weak, defenseless, and existing only to serve the needs of cowboys, whether as cooks or entertainers. But sometimes Old West women were seen as strong, gun-toting forces who commanded respect. This episode of Real Cowboys looks at women in the Old West and today's West to see how today's cowgirls live compared to the late 19th century. Life for today's real cowboys can be tough. Like taking care of horses, no matter how bad the weather is. But there's always time for some cowboy poetry, illuminating the relationship between a cowboy and a cowgirl.
For the horse's sake, we can never get a divorce. We couldn't decide who gets which horse. It's hard enough to lose your spouse, split the furniture and sell the house. But if I lost my gelding or mare, that'd be an agony I couldn't bear. Because of the enormity of the loss, I would probably start hitting the sauce. So we will avoid a divorce mistake and stay together for the horse's sake.
Today's cowgirls are a far cry from those of yesteryear. But one thing remains constant: their love for horses.
They're my absolute passion. Even if I couldn't ride, I'd still have them.
Come here. Come on. Harold, can you be my saddle?
Bow. I have it, but you have to bow. Bow. Come on, all the way down. That was really pitiful.
Back in the 1800s, women came to the West to start a new life with their families. Many reluctantly followed their husbands who went ahead, seeking their fortunes in the gold and silver mines of California, Nevada, Montana, and Colorado. Other women brought their skills as cooks, ranch hands, and teachers. And of course, there were the saloon girls, prostitutes who found a living in nearly every mining town in the West. No matter the occupation, though, women were treated as second-class citizens, subject to the whims of the men who ruled over them. They couldn't vote, and they seldom broke out of the few gender-stereotyped careers the men allowed them to work in. Fortunately, things are different now. In today's West, women still work in some of those jobs, but most now can pursue any career they would desire. Women are college professors, artists, engineers, doctors, lawyers, elected officials, police officers, astronauts. They pursue every profession imaginable and perform them well. And if they want to be cowgirls in their free time, more power to them.
My name is Kelly. I have worked for Story County School District for, almost 22 years. My mom, she had a pony. She had a circus pony, a black and white paint named Tony that would literally like kneel down or bow down so you could climb on his back. So I was always like, my mom had a horse, why can't I have a horse?
My name is Leona, or Ona, and I'm a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for 32 years. We were going over the pass one time, and I just had my 7-foot wide Trails West trailer, and there was construction and big cement pillars, so there was only about this much room. Well, I've been trailering since
Didn't
forever.
bother you.
No, but Jean kept doing this. I said, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "Well, how do you know where the trailer is?" I said, "It's behind the truck." Behind the truck. So that's a big
Great answer.
My name's Kelly. I work with my husband. He's a financial advisor, so I'm his admin, paperwork side of the business.
You grew up with horses.
I did. My mom was a single mom, though, so we couldn't afford a horse.
Yeah.
But my dad, so they were divorced, obviously, but my dad and his family all lived out of town. I had an Aunt Sue. She ruined me. She had horses, and many times she can get me on them, and then, I don't know, same thing. I must have been 4 or 5. I'd lope around, and I'd always be on a horse. We didn't play Barbies.
My name is Jean. I'm just retired a year ago from a 45-year career as a registered nurse and consultant. I grew up in Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio, so in the suburbs. So I was not having a horse in my little yard and stuff. But I took lessons when I was a young adult. I did trail riding or stable riding and stuff. But it's like a different animal having your own horse or a non-stable horse and stuff. So no, it's just been so lucky, so fortunate to be able to have horses. And now we have horses on our property.
My name's Jill Ann, and I had worked for Southwest Gas for 17 years. Yeah, it started off in the parade, the Nevada Day Parade. We moved up here, and we've probably been here maybe a year. I was 5 years old, and the gal that was riding in the parade let me ride on her horse. Yeah, and then the free horse came along, and that's when I started getting into where I wanted to train. Because they couldn't understand why she was cinchy.
Yeah.
And couldn't fix it. So I went over, looked at her, went, yeah, I'll take her.
My name's Linda, and I just retired a year ago. Yay! I worked for the federal government for 20 years. As long as I can remember way back, I always knew where all the horses were whenever we went anywhere. And then these kids got on our school bus. I was in probably in 5th or 6th grade.
Oh yeah, this is.
And I was opportunist. I deliberately made friends with them because I knew they had horses. And so I would ride their horses. That's how I started. And I'd ride my bike like 5-6 miles to their house because I was determined I was going to ride.
Good boy, Sky. Good boy.
That's true. Look at white stuff on the road. Oh. Yes.
Oh my God.
It looks like it's the first time he's ever been out.
In the Old West, women had very specific roles, one of which was to entertain the cowboys. Singing, dancing, serving drinks were their lot. But today, women of the West entertain broader audiences in much different ways. Like making movies, for instance.
Look at the script. Even if you're an extra, you need to know what's going on. So practice your script. Who couldn't use a few extra minutes to learn their lines? Yeah, someone has to run and get the sheriff.
Meet Demetria Leonakis, a writer, producer, and actor who makes cowboy movies in Virginia City.
What's going on in here? Everybody holster your guns or so help me.
I'm Demetria. By day or night, I work as a charge nurse. But other times, when I get to play, I like to make westerns. It gives me a chance to play with all my friends and produce movies, write them, direct them. And we enjoy making these movies of how people lived in the old days and the struggles that they had to go through to get us where we are today. With all the luxuries, the water, the air conditioning. They didn't have any of these. But while we produce these movies, we can salute these people and what they gave up so that we can enjoy today.
You got something of ours and we're gonna get it back.
We just finished producing, writing, and directing a movie right up in Virginia City here, locally. And I can't wait to see how it turns out. And next year, there's more to come.
So let's have a good show.
People today come to the West to get away from crowded cities and fast-paced lives. They come for the open spaces, freedom, and easy access to nature. They can explore mountains, plains, and deserts unchanged from 150 years ago. They can live on ranches with horses and other livestock, and the scenery is a never-ending source of delight. Rushing rivers, sweeping plains, majestic mountains, and abundant wildlife. Deer, quail, coyotes, even the occasional mountain lion or bear. And where else could you wake up to find wild horses grazing on your lawn? And while life in the West isn't as primitive as it was in the 1800s, there's still a lot of work to be done. Both men and women are expected to care for the critters and do the many chores required. But some chores seem to fall more on one sex than the other. Women often excel at domestic chores, while the men seem to be responsible for more of the tasks that require physical strength, like moving fences.
Hindsight. My wife is one of them complex gals who's always moving the horse corrals. She counts on me to supply the brawn to get this relocation done. At first, I thought it was kind of funny, and I was happy to please my honey. I'd move any enclosure on the place just to see her satisfied face. If she spots a board that's apt to splinter or something's just a little off center, I guarantee you this type of fence will never attain true permanence. She usually gives me a great big kiss and then says, "Honey, you're gonna hate me for this." I know then what's about to commence. She's gonna ask me to move another fence. She has 20/20 hindsight vision, which contributes to her indecision, and I used to take it all in stride. Now I find some place to hide. In fact, it's time to make my escape. She's walking the porch with a measuring tape, and I greatly fear my darling spouse is about to ask me to move the house.
The Western cowboy life wasn't just all about love and moving fences, though.
Your arm, Mr. Starr. It's time we were leaving.
Look, Belle, I was just trying to...
Don't you know yet how to treat a lady? Open the door!
It also encompassed the harsh realities of an unforgiving life that often meant an untimely, early death. Churches such as St. Mary in the Mountains in Virginia City, Nevada, provided comfort to the grieving families. The many churches of the Old West were holy places of mourning for those living and sanctuaries of hope for the departed souls. Cemeteries also served the grieving families and recently deceased. The widow of the Silver Terrace Cemetery tells us of the final resting place of Virginia City's people, children, and the beloved animals of the Old West.
Welcome to the Silver Terrace Cemetery in Virginia City, Nevada. I am the widow of the Silver Terrace, and I want to welcome you to my home. Unfortunate thing about our cemetery is that there are so many children here. Child life was not good back in the 1880s. They didn't live very long, usually. If you could get them to 5, they might have had a chance, but getting them to 5 was very difficult for the mothers. We have one baby who was born in the morning and died in the afternoon. That's our youngest. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the animals in Virginia City in the 1880s. They were very well taken care of.
and this stone was erected to honor them. This is the gravesite of Mary Jane Simpson. She was the donkey that they used in the mines. Now, most of the animals used in the mines went blind by the end of their life because they never came out to see the light of day. Mary Jane was the exception. She was brought out by one of the gold kings, and he used her above ground. She was such a smart animal. She would listen to the bells, and for one bell, she knew she was time for her to get into the track and pull the cart of ore. When it was 2 bells, she knew it was time to get out of the track. No one ever had to tell Mary Jane what she needed to do. And of course, Mary Jane waited at the shaft opening for all the miners to come out, because they all saved fun little treats for her as they went on their way home. I'd like to finish our visit with a gravestone poem. Stop and read as you pass by. As you are now, once was I. As I am now, you will be. Prepare for death and follow me.
Although it was a hard life, there's much to be said for the Old West. People had far fewer constraints and more freedom than we live with today. They loaded up their covered wagons to take the long, dangerous westward trek to pursue their dreams.
Better clear this canal.
People still follow their dreams west, although moving vans have replaced the Conestoga wagon, and today's challengers are more aligned to tech startups than to homesteading. Why, even on remote ranches today, people have electricity, sophisticated farm machinery, cell phones, and satellite TV. So today's cowboys and cowgirls enjoy both the past's connection to the land and the present's modern amenities. The best of both worlds.
Sure hope you're enjoying our series and looking forward to the next episode. So take care, be good to yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Up in Story County, where the wild ponies run, gold was mined that fueled the Civil War. There's a fierce but friendly people, and if you ask them to A1, they'll tell you there's still a lot of things worth fighting for. Up in Story County, the Mustang still runs free. Eagle soars above the pinyon pines, and we know these horses stand for something that is precious and more rare than all the silver and the gold from them old mines. So let them run, let them run, let them wild ponies run. Don't you brand them, don't you break them, don't you let the killers take a single one. Let them run. Scar the earth from sun to rising sun. There's still a few proud places left where they let the wild things run. Let them run. Up in Story County, in the high Nevada hills, freedom rides the wayward western wind. Mustang is a symbol with its wild and fiery will.